All right, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about a legend so powerful. It's about a man whose temper literally became the weather, a king who became a god. This is the incredible story of Shango. Now, to really get this, you've got to transport yourself. I mean, we're going way, way back. Imagine a time when nature wasn't just, a weather forecast. It was alive. It had a pulse. And right in the middle of this world lived a king whose feelings were hardwired directly into those forces of nature. So when he got angry, it wasn't just a bad mood. No, it was a full-on physical event, something that could literally split the sky open. Can you even wrap your head around that kind of power? Forget armies and weapons. This guy's voice was the thunder. His will, that was the lightning striking the ground. He was, for all intents and purposes, a walking, talking storm. And that Ting, that powerful, volatile force of nature, his name was Shango, a name you're not going to forget. So who exactly was this guy before he became this larger-than-life myth? Let's dial it back a bit and talk about Shango the King, the mortal man who somehow held the power of a god in his hands. And what's crazy is, we're not talking about some far-off fantasy land here. This is grounded in history. We're in the ancient Oyo Empire in West Africa. Shango was a real person, a king who ruled over real people, which, if you ask me, just makes this whole legend that much more wild. People knew him for basically three things. First, he had incredible strength. Second, a really fierce temper. And third, this totally unbelievable supernatural power over lightning. Yeah, talk about a volatile mix. And when people talked about him, they'd say he had fire inside his body. And listen, they didn't mean that as some kind of poetry. They literally believed he had fire running through his veins. I mean, think about it. How else could you explain that explosive anger and his direct line to the lightning in the sky? So, as you can imagine, this created a complicated relationship with his subjects. On the one hand, they worshipped him. He was their protector, like a god walking on earth. But at the same time, they were terrified of him, always living in fear of that unpredictable temper. But here's the thing, right? What happens when your bad mood can literally level a village? That kind of power, it stops being a gift and starts being a curse. And for Shango, that curse was about to get very, very real. And this is where the story takes a tragic turn. This is the moment when his greatest strength flips and becomes his most devastating weakness. So, try to picture this. Shango's in the middle of a huge, fierce battle. To win, he does what he always does. He calls down the storm. He summons this massive, powerful lightning storm to just wipe out his enemies. But this time, he miscalculated. He went too far. The power he unleashed was just too much. It was uncontrollable. And the lightning, it didn't just hit his enemies. It smashed into his own palace. And the fire just spread, tearing through his own kingdom. The result was just devastating. The man who was meant to protect his people had become the very reason for their destruction. And some stories say the people blamed him, others say he blamed himself. But honestly, it doesn't matter who did the blaming. The result was the same, this soul-crushing guilt. So what do? What does a king do when he fails his people that badly? Well, Shango didn't stick around to find out. He didn't wait to be cast out. He just left. Just completely overcome with shame, he did something nobody expected. He gave up his throne, his power, his entire life. He literally just walked away from it all, into the forest, all by himself. And that was the last anyone ever saw of him. The great King Shango, the walking storm, just gone. But come on, in a story like this, an ending is never really the end, is it? Was he truly gone? Was his power gone with him? Because right after he disappeared, something started to happen. The storms, they changed. They got louder, more intense. They were more powerful than anything anyone had ever seen before. And that's when it clicked for everyone. Shango wasn't dead. He hadn't died out there in the forest. He had shed his mortal body. He had transformed, becoming the spirit of thunder itself. And that brings us to the final part of his story, his legacy. Not as a flawed king, but as a powerful, worshipped god. Now, to really get what happened next, you need to know about the Orishas. In the Yoruba faith, the Orishas are basically the divine spirits, the deities who control everything from nature to human life. Think of them as a pantheon of gods. So when Shango transformed, he didn't just become some ghost. No, he ascended. He took his place among them as one of the most powerful Orishas of all. And as a god, what does he rule over? Well, thunder, lightning, fire, no surprises there. But then there's the last one, justice. And this is the most important part of his whole story. The king whose out-of-control power caused so much injustice becomes the god of justice. His biggest failure becomes his ultimate divine purpose. How amazing is that? And this isn't just some dusty old story. His legacy is alive and well today. People who follow him still honor him. They wear his colors, red and white. They play sacred drums and perform fire rituals. But the most important way they honor him? They try to uphold truth and justice in their own lives. So next time you hear a thunderstorm rolling in, maybe you'll think of this story. It's not just a weather phenomenon anymore, is it? It's the voice of a king still echoing through the sky, a reminder of his incredible power, his tragic mistake, and finally, his redemption. So when that sky darkens, remember the name, Shango, the Thunder King.